Live. SOS family. We are live. We are a little more than a month away from the second annual Save Our Sites conference. We're lucky to be joined by Rick Greenfield from RealTime, and RealTime sponsored last year's event. Thank you very much for this.
Absolutely.
Well, what was your, well, first of all, what made you want to come back and do it again? Did you have good experiences last time?
I wasn't there, unfortunately, but the feedback that I received from my team was that it was a really neat group of folks that came. Obviously, people like real time that and you guys that share in this idea of supporting sites and of course, I guess the saving sites, right? But I think really excellent problem solving is happening at this conference, and it's as you guys grow, I think it's only going to get better. So we definitely want to be a part of that.
Well, thank you for that. We really appreciate it. You are somebody who understands the site game very well. For those that don't know, see, Rick, we got to differentiate between the tech vendors, because now the tech vendors is like a whole new stakeholder. They're bigger than some of the other stakeholders. We have to differentiate between the ones who understand and live the life of sites versus those who just kind of see an opportunity, and that's definitely not the case with you guys.
Well, of course, my background owning a very large clinical research site, multi-specialty, lots of PIs, which was Clinical Trials of Texas and is now part of the Flourish Network. But yeah, I mean, I think living and breathing it, understanding what a coordinator, a recruiter, what these folks go through every single day. I always say being a clinical research coordinator has got to be one of the hardest jobs on earth. You have to be so skilled in so many different areas, whether it be, patient bedside manner and data collection and knowing protocols and managing inventory, recruiting patients, managing regulatory compliance. I mean, the list literally just goes on and on and on. So, I think a vendor like RealTime that, I brought to market really to help my site initially, and then brought it to help other sites. That perspective when you're building these tools helps make them really fit into the workflows.
When you were working at the site before RealTime, when was RealTime founded, by the way?
Well, RealTime, the application, we started building it all the way back in 2007 for my site, right? And working with coordinators and
Wow.
recruiters and all these folks to build software to run our business.
Wait. So in '07, you guys, because this is incredible. So who you had, like, technical skill set, somebody at the site that was good with coding and all that stuff, or
Well, I was the chief architect, if you will, but I basically contracted with a gentleman who was a coder, and we started collaborating together to build
wow,
the initial version of real-time
that's
CTMS.
insane. You took it to another level, because I remember '07. I was running my site. It was new at the time, and I remember I didn't have a database for patients, and I had
That's
no
exactly where
clue.
we started.
Is that where I had no clue? And back then, you didn't have LinkedIn to ask sites, "Hey, what are you using, Rick?" Like, I didn't know who you were. I didn't even know there were sites in Texas.
So
Um,
RealTime's first name was CPRS, and that's what we all called it at our site. Hey, I need to log into CPRS, the Clinical Patient Recruitment System. So it started out as a database, and then where we could manage patient attributes, medical history items, and then be able to query that database and then manage the recruitment funnel. That
wow.
was the initial idea behind RealTime, was managing a database. Because I remember going into coordinators' offices and just seeing sticky notes everywhere, and it was follow up with this patient, follow up with that patient,
Yeah,
and I'm like, how many patients are not being followed up with because of
yeah.
these archaic systems? And so that is what really helped streamline our business to make us top recruiters, was having CPRS.
And it's like people
I'm sorry,
listening
Dan.
now.
I'm sorry. I'm just curious. Is CPRS still around? Because like vaguely that
Oh,
rings a
no.
bell. No.
CPR,
Okay.
yes, actually, yes, it is. It's called real time SOM system, which is the
But is
multi.
it identified as CPRS?
No, not at
Okay.
all.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
very few people even know that. There's actually still a PHP file on the back end that's cprs.php, which a lot of functions are tied into, but
Well,
that's the only place CPRS still exists.
All
That's
right.
insane. People have to understand because, like, in 2025, the site world is very different. But back in 2007, you know, the private practices didn't even have EMRs, most of them. It wasn't until Obama came in '08 that like they kind of incentivized physician practices to switch, and that took a decade to get, to become the norm. So it's not like you can just go to your PI's EMR and look up patients. You couldn't. It was old school, like file cabinet. I remember I went to Staples and I bought my mail list. It was like this off the shelf program, and I made a database for patients. It was
There
meant
you
to
go.
be used for whatever, like kind of like a CRM back in the day. And that was my patient database, probably not HIPAA compliant, God knows. But you took it to a whole new extreme. I mean, you just coded and built something. What made you realize that was worth the ROI? Because back then people were like, yeah, that's a waste of money, man. Why are
Well, and
you?
that's what is so funny because the ROI was so easy to see, and keep in mind the ROI was just for our business, right? So
Yeah.
we were spending, honestly, my mom and I worked together. We were the two owners of the business, and she would actually get mad at me, like a $3,500 bill coming every single month. Like, what is this? And I'm like, I'm building this tool, and she'd be like, you need to spend less. And I'd okay, sure. And
Old
never
school,
stop
old
spending.
school.
But our technology bill, our CTMS bill in 2007, 8, 9 was $3,500 a month, because that's what I was paying a developer to build it. So now I kind
And
of
back,
laugh, whenever I'm talking to a customer who wants to bring on real-time SOM system, which is mind-blowing more powerful than what we had back then. And it is literally a fifth of that cost. I'm like, trust me, for what you're paying, the value you're getting is so worth it.
and that was back in the day when $3,500 meant something.
Oh yeah,
So I
today
was
that's
just thinking that.
Especially to a site, right, where you're
Yeah, absolutely.
weekends meet month over month, and here we are spending $3,500 to develop software.
You're lucky your mom didn't kill you.
yeah, that's
Well,
old school. They don't mess around.
she's not too upset with me today.
No, I can't imagine.
But back then she was a little frustrated.
And it actually speaks to the nature of deflationary aspect of tech. I mean, like we would have to make this stuff back in the day. You took it way further than me. You like 100x what I did, but the cost went down dramatically, right? And then you start adding features, and it sort of evolves into what RealTime is today. So do you want to give like a quick overview of some of the features you guys have? It started as a patient database, which is pretty cool. It seems like the biggest need at the time for most sites.
Well, I mean, of course, just generally speaking, it's the foundation is a CTMS that has been in development since 2007, and so you can imagine, how many crevices there are in the application and different things that it can do today. So it's a very, very powerful CTMS. The recruitment modules, the accounting modules, helping coordinators manage, so many things that they have to manage. But then, of course, e-regulatory built in and fully integrated. So your document management actually translates into the CTMS, and we're able to manage like patient documents that flow all the way into the patient visit, or able to distribute documents to investigators to e-sign and things like that. And then, of course, our evolution into eSource. And then there's lots of other ancillary things around that, like text and pay and our Engage solution, which I think we're really one of the only vendors that's really taken the patient engagement aspect to the level that we have, where, we have a global mobile app for participants to keep track of their visits and sign documents and review documents. And we even have a virtual visit tool built into that, so doctors can actually interface. Kind of a COVID related thing, but I think as time goes on, we'll see more prevalence of televisits and things like that, and we fully support that. So I could certainly go on. I mean, some of the things we did last year that I'm really excited about are the ability to manage regional settings across numerous time zones for our larger sites, which I like to say that when you look at the landscape of sites, the model of what a site and a site network is changing so rapidly. It's tough for us to keep up, right? So being able to support international site networks now, so they can have a CTMS over here and over there and connect them together, and multi-currency support. And it's mind-blowing coming into the market. Really, I never answered your question earlier. When was it founded? It was in 2013. And in 2013, a big site network was what we would consider a very small site network today, right? And so it was hard to even imagine that things would grow into what they've grown into today. So, I think just in kind of closing on that thought, to me, because of my background, because of, really where RealTime sits in the industry, we are site focused. We are here to create site solutions. I know BYOT was one of the things that you guys might want to talk about today, but that's really where I believe this industry needs to go, is the sites, which are the rubber that meets the road, the people that are doing the work at the ground level, collecting all of your valuable deliverables of data and documents. We have to do what we need to do to support them and make them successful. And when you have successful sites, everyone succeeds in the process.
Yeah. Where do you think this road leads to? Because we just talked about deflationary force, bring your own tech. A lot of sites are getting on board now, although I don't know if that's ever gonna be 100% fulfilled with the ePros and all those things. Although it seems like RealTime would be one of the ones best able to support that, maybe with the patient interface you guys have.
There's a lot of potential there, sure, but I think you're always going to have certain technologies that have to be more decentralized components of the trial that are outside of what the site is bringing from a technology perspective. So maybe this study incorporates a wearable. Well, I mean, obviously, RealTime's not going to build wearables, but can we still have that third-party vendor come in with wearables? But can we still maybe connect up and deliver the data, right? And help with the data transfer, and, either through our system or directly into EDC. So we're all connected. So I think it's, there's always going to be some level of hybrid vendors and trials, but the tools that the site uses across the board on every study, which of course is their CTMS, their data collection e-source system, their document management e-regulatory system, and other patient-facing things like stipend tools and e-consent. I feel like the site should own that technology. And do you want to be a coordinator and log into 5 different systems today to collect data on 5 different patients, or do you want to use one system and have real efficiency across the board? I think that's an easy answer.
Yeah, more like 12 systems.
Oh boy, always a good idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have tons of more questions, but Ashley and Chris, I don't want to hog up all the.
It's all good. Thanks, Dan. Well, sorry for joining a little bit late, Rick. Thank you so much
No
for
worries.
being here. Really happy to have RealTime as a continued supporter of SOS and whatever else is going to be coming down the future, right? As far as SOS is concerned, but
we're happy to be here.
So, as your team is already aware, we're going to have an app. So obviously, site owners and also personnel that maybe want to know more about RealTime will be able to go on the app, learn more about you, and obviously rewatch this video, which we'll be sending out to all of you guys. But as far as, being there, I know obviously you guys will be manning a booth, but do you also plan to have team out on the floor, kind of working the floor with individuals, since not everybody will always be at the booth?
I hope they're not just sitting in the booth. That would be bad.
Okay.
We'll certainly have someone in the booth at all times, but the goal is really to get out and, interface with people. And I think you have to be super proactive at any conference to really drive good conversation. Sometimes good conversation comes to you, but I feel like if you're really there to learn and grow, you have to kind of finagle your way into talking to people and bringing up sometimes difficult conversation, but we all learn and grow from that.
For sure. And another one that is, very common that we also just get asked in general, since there's a lot of innovation happening and for good reason. What makes RealTime different from all the other organizations out there, the companies out there that are working to, enhancing the technology for sites?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, we have a lot of Well, I think first and foremost is, the idea that we're really trying to bring the most comprehensive solution to sites, and the degree of site focus is, pretty much 100%. So we're not building systems for anybody else. We're not trying to help, line our pockets by going and chasing sponsor CRO solutions. We focus on sites. And so our system, people talk about sort of best of breed. I believe you can put any of our systems, whether it be the CTMS, eReg, eSource, text pay, web integration, whatever, up against anybody else, and you're going to find that we are best of breed. You might find a feature over here that we don't have, and it's usually vice versa, right? But we're very strong. And so I think that our goal is to really have a cross-functional platform so that everyone at the site logs into one system. And as I was mentioning earlier, like, the e-regulatory aspect, documents flow to investigators, licensure management, all of this stuff, it has to talk to the CTMS and the calendar and our Outlook integration and the mobile app. And when you're using separate systems, there's just no way you can have cross-functional, workflows in a system like that. And then even data analytics becomes a little bit more challenging, because instead of being able to link up BI to a single system and pull metrics across the organization, I'm having to pull metrics from lots of different systems and aggregate that data. And it can be more challenging to really make sense of that data. So, that's always been the goal of RealTime, and it continues to just kind of grow, I think, in popularity, but certainly the system itself is growing in its overall capability to manage a site. And with that being said, just kind of a last thought, talking about all the different systems that coordinators have to log into, a site can also really change that mantra within their own platform. So do I want my coordinator having to log into this system for regulatory, that system for eSource, another system yet again for CTMS, patient tracking and recruitment? Or would I like to give them a single point of entry where they can manage everything? And so that is what we're shooting for.
Awesome. And one more question for me, Chris. Sorry, I don't want to hog you there, but so me personally, experience as a CRA, both CRO and sponsor level, one of the biggest issues and kind of annoyances for a CRA as well as a site is to get onto site level and then have technical issues and then have to wait so long for response or for any type of assistance or help. How's RealTime's experience with that in providing that response time frame to sites and just, being available? Are y'all available 24/7? I mean, I don't know how exactly that works with you guys.
Yeah. Well, we actually in 2024 added 24/7 support around the world. So, customer success is really what we do as a primary. We build software, we try to build great software, but at the end of the day, we have to support our customers as the number one goal day in and day out. And so that if you call RealTime, you get a live person, and, we don't do chat bots or anything like that. We are available around the clock to assist our customers and make sure they're being successful.
Awesome.
Our motto is your success is our success, right? So our customer success comes first.
Great. Thanks. So that's all my questions. Chris, I don't know.
Sure.
Pass on the baton.
So what platforms do you provide? As you mentioned a few. Can you just list? You have a CTMS. You have an EDC.
We have a global
you have an eSource.
Yes, absolutely. Data collection, eSource. One of the things that we're also adding, we have our Engage solution, right, which is our patient portal that is both web-based and mobile app-based, where our patients of sites can follow along with their visit schedules and document management, e-consent, all that kind of fun. And then the televisits, as I was mentioning. But the other thing that we're working on in 2025 is data connectivity. So I believe we'll be the first vendor to really come out with a true solution that will either mostly eliminate or completely eliminate data transcription. So that's going to be a win-win really for everybody, where the sites are able to upload their data into EDC and sponsors are going to get their data much more quickly. And this whole idea that, there will always have to be some level of source data verification, but when you're doing direct connection, that can be a much lighter load.
That's interesting.
So how close is RealTime to being able to provide all service functions that a typical study provides, right? So a coordinator, as you mentioned, they don't want to log into 15,000 different systems.
Of course,
So
yeah.
it would be very helpful, and in terms of both on the site side and the sponsor side, if there were one system they could log into and it played nicely with its other aspects, right? Where you enter eSource, it automatically enters it into EDC, right? How close is RealTime to that?
I mean, we're pretty much there. We have, all those systems that you mentioned: CTMS, eSource, eRegulatory, recruitment. That's extremely powerful and all managed within the application as well. The participant portals, Outlook integrations. We're working on the EDC Connect. Look, I think one thing that I do believe is that you need a multi-vendor environment, even if you just want to talk capitalism. But we have to be able to think about many-to-many connections in our business. And so, do I believe that RealTime is going to take over the world and we're going to be the only site solutions provider? Of course not. And I don't even want to be. I think there's no doubt that us having competition makes us all better. But I mean, that's also true on the sponsor CRO side. They're always going to have different systems and EDC systems that they're utilizing as well. So when we're thinking about interconnectivity of systems, we have to be thinking in a many-to-many way, that we need standardized ways of data transmission that are really, and this is where it gets challenging, is because you actually, in that case, have to have sometimes competitors working together to make these systems work, right? And so I've always said, I will continue to say publicly, we are 1,000% on board with working hand in hand with, friends, colleagues, and even competitors to help bring these solutions to reality.
So are we anywhere near plug and play nicely? Right?
No.
Where are these different? Yeah, that's what I kind of thought, which is unfortunate, right? It would be great. It would be great if a sponsor chooses RealTime for one aspect of their needs and someone else, and then those two systems can play nicely together. But it's unfortunate they don't.
What I believe, without trying to start any controversy, is that we need some of these larger vendors at the sponsor CRO level to open their doors to data connectivity. And I think many of them have a take over the world sort of ideal, that they're going to be the one system that the sponsors use for EDC and their own CTMS needs and whatnot. And we're also going to have the sites using all of our solutions, and it's all going to connect. And I'm like, okay, so I guess we're going to go into the conference hall and there's just going to be one booth, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like a foregone conclusion that ideal doesn't work. And so if you can get that far in your thinking, then we need to be working on connectivity between disparate systems, and it needs to be a many-to-many solution. So let's get to work, but I think that's the challenge again, is just who do you get to the table and who can really make this stuff happen?
Absolutely. And that benefits pretty much everyone within the industry, right? Sponsors, they can get to things more quickly if that were the case. Because the sites can recruit, I would assume, a little more rapidly, and thus meet the needs of the sponsor. Yeah, it would be great if these systems would play nicely together.
Imagine a world where sites get to use all of their own technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sponsors and CROs get to use all of their own technology that benefits, their businesses and workflows. And the deliverables, the data, the documents, those things are now shared between these systems. So, hey, site, these are my deliverables that I need from you. Send them on up when you get them, right? Mm-hmm. But if everyone's able to use their own software across their organization, they're going to be so much more efficient. They're going to be so much more compliant. And so I just see that as, the utopian future that who knows when it might actually get here. But are we making great progress? I don't think so. Not really.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if it ever gets here.
Yeah, coming from a CRO sponsor, and definitely that's something that even CRAs, when you're just kind of openly talking about, how you wish things were better, that's one of the topics that comes up. It's just like, I just really wish there was less third parties, in that sense, that the site had more control and it was just an easier back and forth transition, especially when it comes to prepping to get to the site and then dealing with, issues, what happens when on site, which then pushes the time frame for the site itself. If not everything gets done, have to reschedule. It's a huge domino effect. So
Yep.
it's nice to hear that someone's working on that. Hopefully, everything goes great, and it's not too far around the corner that it'll actually be implemented.
Well, and so I guess the one area that I do believe we are going to make some substantial progress is in data connectivity to EDC. So while that's just a subset of what we need to be able to connect, there are pathways to do this. We are going to be releasing a product in 2025 that's going to allow our sites to upload data direct to EDC. So that's going to be a huge advancement in connectivity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
That would be a huge benefit to sites. I mean,
For sure. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Well, and what I was going to say too, Ashley, and I think you provide a good perspective, and I think it's a wonderful thing that SOS allows for is really helping sponsors and CROs understand what's going on down at the site level. And I do in my travels, run into lots of folks that work at the CRO and sponsor level, and I'm amazed a lot of times at how they just don't get it. And it's nothing against them. They just haven't been there. They haven't seen it. And so, if you haven't done that and you haven't talked to these people, you're not going to understand it. And so I think that us just elevating this conversation about the challenges that are being faced at the site level is going to help to educate those folks and hopefully help them get on board with providing solutions at a faster rate.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I mean, something that maybe RealTime might be interested in the future is, I'm sure you've seen already, but we've had our first original SOS regional meetup, and a lot more to come down the pipeline in 2024 and 2025 with that. We're actually going to be announcing and doing some surprises about that in the conference itself. But I mean, if that's something that RealTime is really looking for, a more one-on-one intimate point, not just with the site owners, but also an actual sponsor, much more close-knit rather than these bigger conferences where we're all kind of jarring for some time. This is definitely something your team might want to be open to considering.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, definitely look forward to seeing more information about that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I'm good on questions, you guys, and I think we're off for time. Chris, Dan, do you have anything else you want to add before we kind of?
Do you have any closing thoughts? We like to keep this short and sweet, but love to hear any closing thoughts you may have.
Thank you. Thanks for starting SOS and helping to keep this conversation going. Thanks for having me today. Certainly RealTime is excited to be a part of anything that helps sites. We wake up in the morning and go to bed at night thinking about how we're going to make RealTime better for sites. And so, we're here to listen. We're going to be at the conference to listen and learn, and hopefully all get better together. So, again, really look forward to the partnership and the ongoing relationship that's going to help us solve these problems for sites together.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. Go, Chris. I'm so sorry.
And then Dan, you didn't ever throw out the ad.
Omni Hotel. Thank you, Chris. Rick, where are you staying, man? Please.
I tell you what, I wouldn't stay anywhere but an Omni.
There you go. Good man right there. Rick knows what's up. The Omni Hotel. Mm-hmm. Everyone, get your rooms while they're still there.
Yeah, that's something I was going to mention, is that we actually have a very great discount for all the SOS goers. And we know we've been seeing the updates as people are like flurrying buying tickets, especially this past week and the week before.
Today has been crazy.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. So just a reminder, you guys, we know how it is. We're all busy, and everything's kind of going last minute. But please note that we want to make sure that we work really hard to get these discounts for you. And so the discount for the hotel itself ends at the I believe on the 28th or the 27th. 27th of February. Yeah. Okay. So please, if you are going to go, do not wait last minute. Do it this weekend if you need time, but get it done so that you don't have to spend as much as the normal prices. That's the whole point of SOS, trying to save you some time, some space, some money, and all that good stuff.
Money.
So
I mean,
it's like a database
utopia, right? Speaking of utopia, a discounted Omni room. Come on.
Yeah. Thanks, Rick. Thank you.
Can't beat that.
Yeah.
This is like a database lock. You get till the 27th. The good sites, did it already. The stragglers are going to be last minute. getting their queries answered, and hopefully you guys can all make it, please. 27th, put on your calendars the deadline
sure.
for the hotel.
Well, thank you so much, Rick, for being here. Thank you, RealTime. We really appreciate it. You guys, please, share this, like and share it. This will be also on our website, and then we will be resharing it later. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to have this recorded on the app. I'm going to find that out. But either way, the app will be released very soon. You'll get more information on that shortly, and you'll be able to connect with RealTime on the app. So looking forward to seeing all you guys and your team, Rick. And thank you so much for being here. And, see you
Thank
soon.
you as well.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick.
See ya.
Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye, guys. Omni, 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 Omni.